Texas Governor Rick Perry joins us right here in Dallas. Good evening, Governor.
Good evening. Glad to have you in Texas.
I'm glad to be here. Our Republican governor of Maine saying that able-bodied people should get off the couch and get a job. What do you think?
Well, absolutely. I think, it's our responsibility to make sure we put good tax policies, good regulatory policies, good legal policies in place so that those jobs can be created. 330,000 new jobs created in the state of Texas from February of 2011 to 2012. So, I think we're doing our part in the state of Texas. Now, other governors need to be challenged to put those policies in place to make sure that they have those jobs that are created for people who are looking for work. But if folks are just, on the welfare ride for the sake of welfare ride, you bet, Governor LePage has got it spot on. But the fact is, we both have our jobs to do. We do it pretty good in the state of Texas.
Do you think, though, that there are a lot of people who are, quote, able-bodied who might be insulted by that, about being told to get off the couch? Because there are a lot of dispirited people in this country, and for good reason. They've been without jobs for, for a number of months, in some instances years. Their houses are underwater. Do you think saying, able-bodied people get off the couch is a rather prudent way to encourage people?
Well, here's what I think, is that state governments need to be doing everything they can to make sure those jobs can be created there. The federal government doesn't help us by, their stimulus programs and the spending that they've done and the regulatory climate they put in place. This administration, I think, has done more to kill jobs and to talk people away from expending dollars and creating those opportunities for wealth, and that's what we need to be doing. But the idea that a governor is cajoling folks to, get out there and get involved in the workforce. There may be some folks that are offended by that. I'm not.
All right, let's talk about what's going on in this state with illegal immigration. There's a new controversy about whether or not, I think you wrote a letter, about whether or not the children, that the Obama administration is allowing children who are not citizens of the United States to come across the border into your state unlawfully.
Yeah, about 80% of all of these unaccompanied minors are coming in across the Texas border. You go back, and illegal immigration has been an issue for many, many years here, compounded by the drug cartels realizing that the Mexican-U.S. border was a place that they could operate almost with impunity in some places. As a matter of fact, they have operational control on some sides of the border. We had, I think, 23 citizens of Mexico, most likely. I don't know if they've been identified yet, in Nuevo Laredo, cartel battle going on there. So you have the illegal immigration issue, then you compound it with the drug cartels, then this new phenomena that we are seeing now, and this is just within the last 6 months or so. We've seen 5,200 unaccompanied young people. We're talking 8 to 9-year-old that are coming from Central and South America, up through Mexico.
South of Mexico. Mexico's just through.
And we don't know all the details yet about how Mexico's dealing with this, but they're coming to the Texas border and then in the river, and our Health and Human Service Agency, and then taking them into the Office of Refugee Resettlement, and the vast majority of these, we had almost 1,400 of them just in March that showed up with health problems, with chicken pox. The health side of this is as disconcerting as anything. But they're coming in, and almost 90% of them are being resettled here in the United States. And the President of the United States needs to deal with this. He needs to be using his State Department, talking directly to the presidents of those countries where these kids are coming through, visiting with our friends in Mexico to stop them. I mean, these are kids that are getting on rail cars, riding the top of rail cars all the way up through Mexico. I mean, the danger that they're put in, the sexual assaults that are occurring. I mean, all of this is of great consternation, I think, for any of us. But when they come here and then they're dumped on our cities and our counties, and our state is expected to pick up the cost, there's a point in time where you say, quit giving these individuals incentives to come up and then be resettled in the United States. That's the real issue for me. You've got a president on one hand, look at China, where you have a dissident that we're kind of pushing back in the form of Mr. Chung, and then on the other side, we've kind of got open arms here with this issue, because we're not sending a message of, no, we're not going to allow you to come in with good border security. And if you do happen to get back, we're not picking them back up and repatriating them, if you will, back into their country.
Well, it seems to me that there are a combination of issues. One is the financial burden on your state and others, but there's also the humanitarian issues. They are living in, they're living in essentially custody. They're living on cots someplace in buildings, right? I mean, these children are coming in. I saw a picture in the Wall Street Journal today.
And the health side of it, too, Greta. I mean, these children have not been vaccinated for any of the diseases that are out there, and they're bringing those diseases in. In some cases, we have a known case of chicken pox, and then we had to quarantine that entire facility where these kids are.
In a facility, how many kids can you have in it? I mean, what are these numbers?
Well, that's one of the problems is the federal government has given us anywhere between 24 and 48 hours to make these facilities, and it's like, this is not our responsibility, and they're saying, well, yes, you've got to help us deal with this. When the issue goes back, we've fought this fight with Washington for a long time about their lack of securing the border. You hear them talk about, well, immigration numbers are down, but we've had 57% increase since 2008 of our drug seizures along that border. We've seen what's going on.
The numbers that I've seen is that more people are going south into Mexico than coming this direction right now. We're seeing those numbers. But what was sort of stunning to me is the number of children who are coming alone, and when I saw the picture of them living on these cots, and they don't have parents here. I mean, and now who's to take custody of these children?
Yeah. It's a huge problem, and it's one that the federal government is dumping on our state, and 80% of them are coming into Texas. It's not a big a problem for Arizona, New Mexico, California as it is for Texas.
What do you expect to hear a reply from the President Obama? Because you've given a letter before, and the tarmac you gave him a letter.
We'll keep asking.
You're quite a letter writer.
Well, this is about standing up for the people of the state of Texas. They expect their governor to lead on these issues, and the bottom line is we got a federal government that is failing us when it comes to border security, failing us when it comes to dealing with this issue. Let's send a clear message to those countries and their leadership that you have to deal with this. We can't be responsible for being the repository for your citizens that you send up here, or allowing them to come. We've got to have our government sending a clear message to the State Department and other avenues to stop this.
Big win for the Tea Party in Indiana tonight. Richard Murdoch beating Senator Lugar, who had been a U.S. Senator, held a seat for about 36 years. Is this a reflection on the Tea Party? Is this isolated to one particular state, one particular race?
I don't think so. I mean, my race for governor back in 2010, you had a substantial United States senator who had been in Washington a long time, and that was a substantial victory against the Washington status quo. And I think that's what you see with Senator Lugar and Mr. Murdoch, is that people are really fed up with Washington, D.C. They're fed up with the spending. They're fed up with people telling them, say, hey, it's just the status quo. We don't know how to make it any better. Yes, we do. Stop the spending. Get focused. Send people to Washington, D.C. that really are going to represent the people's will in this country.
Explain to me how presidential candidates run against each other and say the worst things about each other, whether they're calling them socialists or liars or flip-floppers, or they're just saying horrible things, and then now all of a sudden everyone's sort of patting everybody on the back, and it's all like we're all great friends. What happened? The rest of we saw all those ads.
There's some theater that goes on. I think all of us that have been in it for some time realize that there's some theater that goes on. But
is it raw? You feel raw a little bit? I guess maybe I would tend. I guess I might be more inclined to hold a grudge. I think personally.
Here's my focus is we've got to beat Barack Obama in November. And Mitt Romney is the individual that was still standing at the end of this process. I'm going to be for him. I'm going to be helping him because he will be multiple times better for this country than Barack Obama. Four more years of Barack Obama will be deadly for this country.
Isn't that a weird campaign? The campaign statement from the Republican Party is like, our guy isn't as bad as yours. A little bit. It's like, he's so much better than yours. I
don't think that was the case at all. When you look at these candidates, and you look where Barack Obama has taken America from the standpoint of our jobs numbers and the spending and the debt, young people. I don't know how anyone who's 25 to 40 years old could look at this presidential election and go anything other than we're going to vote for the Republican, because there's some sanity there in spending and getting it under control.
Governor, always nice to see you.
You too, Greta.
Nice to be here in the great state of Texas. Nice to see you, sir.
Come often.